The Grand Canyon. It is a beautiful, beautiful place. If you haven't been, you need to plan to go. It is beautiful, but it's also dangerous. I mean, looking out over all that, I got tears in my eyes and chill bumps on my arms. It was so beautiful. And to think that that's God's creation too. That's God's creation. And it is so beautiful. And I'm going to tell you a little about death in the Grand Canyon, though. About 900 people have died in the Grand Canyon since 2024. The leading cause of death is airplane and helicopter crashes, followed by falling from cliffs, environmental deaths such as overheating and drowning. On average, about 11 people die per year in the Grand Canyon. And this data includes all deaths recorded from the 1800s up to about 2024. And although some deaths happened earlier than the 1800s, as in the case of random skeletons found at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And I'm pretty sure that some have gone unreported too because of just not being reported. Missing persons not being reported, and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that it's over 900 probably. But anyway, I'm going to go into this one. Her name was Dee Dee Johnson, okay? And it was the morning of September 15th, 1946. The day when stunning Hollywood fashion designer Dee Dee Johnson, age 38, and her entourage were planning a major public relations shoot on the South Rim. We were on the South Rim. That's where we were. We wanted to go to the North Rim to that skywalk, that glass skywalk they have, but we didn't. But anyway, we were on the South Rim too. All right. Dee Dee Johnson, fashion designer, age 33, and her entourage were planning a major public relations shoot on the South Rim. They would model several new clothing styles they were about to market. One of these fashion blasts into the atomic age would be pedal pushers, skin-tight pants. Ranger Bowen and his boss, Chief Ranger Perry Brown, had just arrived out of curiosity to watch the fashion show. Hollywood had not been a common visitor here. Besides, Dee Dee herself would be modeling these pedal pusher things. And there she stood. The two rangers saw horrified, glamorous Dee Dee clad in a halter top and pedal pushers and posing provocatively on the parapet wall on the brink of the abyss in a death-defying stance. Brown's alarmed, "Get her off that wall before she falls," echoed in Bowen's ears as he hurried towards Dee Dee on the wall. Flash bulbs flashed blindingly. Bowen made it maybe 3 steps, he would later report, before Dee Dee Johnson lost her balance and fell off the wall, vanishing into the Grand Canyon. How many people fall here each year? Ironically, this is the question that nearly every National Park Service ranger hears, most often from South Rim visitors once they first view the shocking abyss called the Grand Canyon. Now, I didn't ask that question. I never even thought to ask that question. It was my first first time there, and I was just amazed. So I didn't even think about asking that question. But questions about geology and so on emerge only after this visual shock begins to wear off. Sometimes this prime question is phrased, how many people die here each year? But die in this context often means fall. Either way, the two questions often seem nearly identical. For years, many MPS rangers did not even know the accurate answer, but most of them knew a true answer. It varies from year to year. In some years, no one falls from the rim. In other years, the number can be far higher. Again, a fall almost always equals death. Surviving a fall from either rim is about as likely as surviving a lightning strike. Even so, a few people have survived falls. Their stories tend to verge on unbelievable. Ranger William Bowen, for example, explained what happened next with Dee Dee Johnson in her death plunge off the wall in front of a small platoon of photographers. If you know Grand Canyon, you know there isn't much of anything over that parapet wall, but a lot of scenery and open space. I quickened my pace considerably upon her disappearance, looked over and noted that she was in a sitting position facing the canyon on a very steep slope and about 5 feet from a 300 feet drop. I wouldn't have regarded her as a good risk for life insurance, as the only thing holding her was some debris that had accumulated in her crotch as she slid. Perry hollered at her to sit still. I went on up the wall about 30 feet, went over and worked my way back down to her, my way back above her. You gotta forgive me with this reading. It was written in 1940s when this happened, so there's going to be some word stuff. Anyway, when I got there, I saw a little stunted pinion about 3 inches in diameter, which was so situated that if I could get a hold of it with my left hand, I ought to be able to get a hold of her with my right. She was sitting very still indeed, but the debris in her crotch was gradually trickling off into the void, and there didn't seem to be time for a full-scale planning meeting. So much against my better judgment, I slid down the route she had just taken and grabbed the pinyon tree. Thank God it was well rooted, or Dee Dee and I might shortly have been airborne. I reached out and got a firm grip on the seat of her pedal pushers, and there we were. I wouldn't say we were comfortable, but at least we were immobile, and we did have an excellent unobstructed view of the canyon. In a very short time, Dean Daisy came over the wall on a rope and tied another rope under Dee Dee's arms, and up she went. Having no further business in the vicinity, I hung onto Dean, and we too joined the crowd on top. There was one feature of the rescue that did cause some comment. In 1946, the topless era was well in the future. Pedal pushers featured a halter top. Dean had tied the rope around Dee Dee, and when the rope was pulled from above, Dee Dee arrived on the rim topless. With a half a dozen photographers on hand, this was well recorded to Dee Dee's intense distaste. She seemed to blame Dean. Dee Dee Johnson, topless in her soon-to-be wildly successful pedal pushers, but also now burdened with a sprained ankle and a new phobia for heights, proved far from unique in failing to grasp the magnitude of her error, of tempting fate while standing on the rim. Since day one, it seems the magnitude of dangers posed by the sheer immensity of the canyon's cliffs has consistently failed to compute in the minds of many human visitors. Even worse, for some visitors, the immense vista holds a fatal attraction that exerts an almost magnetic pull right up to the edge. Then, as with Dee Dee Johnson, over the edge. All right, we'll go into a story next time too, but she was lucky. She seemed lucky. And, but remember, some of these people have families and their families are still alive. So, you know, it's a sad thing. But anyway, hope you enjoyed and see you back soon. Bye.